and beating them, I have to be focused on myself, because if I'm going to improve in small aspects, I know I'm going to get there and it's going to take time, and I think I'm going to shock the world when it happens.
We are in Asaba, Delta State, Nigeria, to gauge the mood at the ongoing 2018 Africa Senior Athletics Championships, with Ethiopia and Kenya keen on sweeping medals at the expense of Ghana and host Nigeria. Head to our Facebook page, joy/99.7, our WhatsApp line 0244 340 437, or tweet at us at JoySportsGH if you haven't had a look at our question of the day. Time to talk about what the world is talking about in the world of sports. Hello from me, George Aldo Jr., and welcome to Review Friday.
So you can quickly send us your messages on our WhatsApp line there, 0244 340 437 on the Locker Room. And it's just a good place to begin this afternoon, right inside France.
I feel good. We are very happy to be here. We are patient to debut the competition, and we feel very good.
We know definitely the Black Princesses will open their 2018 FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup campaign against host France on Sunday. That's a big game to look forward to. They're up against the host nation France at the tournament in Papua New Guinea. The two sides 2-2 in the Group A match. That should give them a lot of confidence. Now, joining me to do the analysis of what the Black Princesses are likely to do, Abigail Senasosu. How are you doing this afternoon?
Well, I'm good, George. Looks like everyone is putting pressure on us. France have every reason to win that opening game, and Ghana equally have a bold statement to make in France, and so it's a cagey one. We're all sitting on the edges, hoping that the Black Princesses can pull up a surprise, especially for you.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of talk there about the Black Princesses shortly. Can we then talk about the groups and the teams we have in there? What's it looking like? We know there's some big guns in there, like Germany, Korea, DPR, Japan, and the likes. How are they looking in the groups?
Just 4 interesting groups, with Ghana, like you said, in Group A with France, the Netherlands and New Zealand. Don't forget, Netherlands and Haiti are making their first appearance at the World Cup at this level. And so in Group B, you have Mexico, you have Brazil, you have England, and defending champions Korea also in there in Group B. And Group C, we have USA, Japan, Paraguay, and Spain. And Group D, that's Haiti, Germany, Nigeria. You forgot our sisters. They're also there. So Ghana and Nigeria representing Africa largely. And so in Group D, they also try to see what they can do against the Germans and the Chinese and the Haiti group. So it's a big one. It's a big deal. It's starting tomorrow. There's a lot of good players to look forward to out there. And the most interesting thing, if you notice in the trend, is that these are young ladies that have graduated very well from the under 17 to the under 19 and are playing well in some big clubs in Europe. And so there's a lot to look out for. Some good midfielders, you have some forwards, and I'm surprised. Front goalkeeper, she's played for Saint Etienne, and she's one that won the Golden Gloves in the last tournament, and so she hopes to continue this time around. She considered 3 goals in the last game, all right, but she feels that at this point in time, when it comes to the crunch for them to get to the final, she has to do something extraordinary for fun. So we're looking up to this.
It's good to have a lady talk about the ladies' game, and I love the way you're going about it. But I think that the real question for you is, the Black Princesses have been to this competition, failed to get out of the group stage. Do you think they are prepared enough to do it this time?
Judge, I was talking about consistency, and we are lucky to have that also in our team. We have most of our players that also graduated from under 17. Unluckily for us, we don't have the under 19 tournaments like it's done in Europe, and so they were just steadily graduated to either the Black Queens or they have to proceed to the Black Princesses like they have now. I'm very positive, and myself I'm positive is 50% because of that progress they have also had. And so when you see Sandra Uso and you see Ernestina Bambela, you're okay because they've been to the World Cup before. So when it comes to the exposure, at least they have had it. And so bringing the lads from our local league. Unfortunately, we don't have most of our players playing out there in Europe, and so they can tell them that this is how it goes, this is how it feels, and so just let's put ourselves together. And at this point, with everything that has happened in Ghana football, George, this is the time for them to show to the world that whatever is happening with our game in Ghana, the quality is still there. And so it is a huge tax for the princesses, and I am positive when it comes to show like this, they will just stand up and do something.
So we can take your word, they are going through the group stage. Thank you very much, Abigail Senasosu, joining us and talking about the Black Princesses who are getting ready to begin that competition, the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup. They really need to do well against France. Now we have to quickly get to the other side of the coin, and it's the Black Satellites who are getting ready as well with that qualifier against Benin. They'll be hoping to qualify for the African Youth Championship. So Nsaki has a wrap of the other games to expect across the continent.
The 2019 Africa Youth Championship qualifier is reaching its conclusion. 2009 World Champions Ghana will be playing Benin at the Cape Coast Stadium tomorrow, August 4, 2018. The qualifier was played in 3 rounds of 2 legs. A total of 40 African nations battled through the first round. In the second round, 28 teams also played 2 legs to have 14 in the third round. In the last round, we will have 7 teams to join the host in February next year for the CAF Under-20 Championship. Ghana and Benin are the last 2 teams to play the qualifier to join the 6 already through. After 2 legs in the second round, Ghana Black Satellites beat Algeria 2-0 on aggregate. The first leg was goalless draw in Algiers. Then in Cape Coast on 20th May 2018, Kudus and Ibrahim gave the Satellites qualification to the third round. The qualification should have concluded in July, but because of the pause in Ghana football, the game was postponed to Saturday, 4th of August 2018. The second leg is yet to be scheduled, and Ghana or Benin will join the host Niger, 3-time champions Nigeria, Burkina Faso, Burundi, Mali, who have made 11 appearances, South Africa, and Senegal in Niger from 24th February to March 10th, 2019.
So Nsaki, with what to expect in the African Youth Qualifiers. Okay, so we look forward to that. But of course, we have to get into the transfers. And like we do on the show, we give you an idea of what has happened in this week. Well, I thought that was really big. Leonardo Bonucci, moving in from AC Milan into Juventus. Moses Yeboah has a proper wrap of what has happened so far.
AC Milan have confirmed the signing of Argentine striker Gonzalo Higuain and Italian defender Mattia Caldara from fierce rival Juventus. The deal doesn't just see Higuain and Caldara move to the San Siro, it also sees Leonardo Bonucci move back to Juventus in what is likely to be one of the most prominent swap deals in recent times, in not just Italian football, but in the whole of football too. Barcelona have completed the signing of Arturo Vidal from Bayern Munich after agreeing personal terms with the Chile midfielder over a £27 million transfer. The 31-year-old met Barca officials last week and passed his medical after being granted permission to leave. Ahmed Musa has moved from Leicester to Saudi Arabian club Al Nassr. The 25-year-old was the Foxes' record signing when he moved to the King Power for £16.6 million in 2016. The Nigerian international failed to hold down a place at the King Power Stadium and was loaned back to his old club CSK Moscow for part of last season. Fulham have finally got their man, completing the signing of Alfie Mawson from Swansea on a 4-year deal. The 24-year-old has moved to Craven Cottage for an undisclosed fee. France left back Lucas Digne has joined Everton from Barcelona as the second signing of recently hired manager Marco Silva. Everton announced the arrival of the 25-year-old Digne on Wednesday, a little over a week before the start of the Premier League season. Brazilian winger Richarlison has also joined the club this off-season from Watford. Croatian international Versaco has signed for Italian club Inter Milan. It was confirmed on Wednesday night. The Italian giant signed Versaco on a 1-year loan deal from Atletico Madrid for a reported €6.5 million, with also a right to buy the right back out of his €17.5 million contract. Gazzetta dello Sport reveals that Versaco will earn around €3 million from the deal, with a long-term contract expected to be signed next season. Manchester City striker Gabriel Jesus has signed a new 5-year contract to keep him at the club until 2023. The Brazil international returned to training on Tuesday after being given an extended holiday following the World Cup. Chelsea forward Pedro has also signed a 1-year contract extension, keeping him at the club until the summer of 2020. The 31-year-old signed from Barcelona in the summer of 2015 and has scored 28 goals from 131 appearances for the Blues.
Moses Yabo, get onto our Facebook page. Let's hear from you. We're asking the question, do you think the difference between Manchester United and Man City is all down to cash, as Mourinho seems to be suggesting? But we'll have to go now for the Joy Sports BBC two-way series. I've had a good chat there with Rob Schofield. Let's enjoy this, and when we come back, there's more to talk about.
Thanks, Rob, for your time this weekend, and there's no better place to begin than transfers with time running out for EPL clubs. Just how much pressure do these clubs have to deal with?
Oh, so much pressure, isn't it now, especially because the transfer window closing date has been brought forward ahead of the start of the new season, of course, and now with the World Cup as well, which always naturally delays transfer dealings because players are obviously away from their clubs, away from their representatives and playing for their national teams. We see a flurry, in the last few weeks or so. I think we've seen some suggestions that things are going to really kick off, but I've got a feeling that in the next 6 days we could really have somewhat of a unprecedented number of transfers all kind of brimming to the boil. I think a couple of big names are still yet to make their moves, and I think it'll somewhat have a domino effect on some other clubs and some other dealings. So pressure really is on, I think, more so for the clubs in the lower reaches of the Premier League who are looking to kind of get those players over the line that could make all the difference in terms of staying in the division. But when it comes to the top teams, I think we've seen a lot of clubs kind of make their statements early with recruiting players, some before Russia 2018. But now we lay in an area where, the likes of Chelsea and Manchester United, I think, certainly are still looking to do business, and that makes for a very intriguing last 6 days.
Rob, let's talk Juventus, who seem to be the favourites for next year's UEFA Champions League, even before we kick a ball. Via their signings, Bonucci is the next big one after Cristiano Ronaldo. What kind of impact would he have?
Well, Leonardo Bonucci returning to Turin just 12 months after leaving them for Milan. I think he'll return with the tail between his legs somewhat. This is a player who fell out with Max Allegri at Juventus before making that move. He's realised that to some degree the grass isn't greener away from the Allianz Stadium. But Bonucci is a fantastic defender, one of the world's best, and he can then kind of re-establish this partnership with Giorgio Chiellini, which of course made Juventus such a difficult nut to crack, and genuine Champions League contenders. And now they have the man who wins Champions Leagues like nobody else, Cristiano Ronaldo, at the top of their team. So I think you're right in regards to saying that Juventus probably are the favourites for the Champions League this time around. They've clearly, made an impact and made statements in the window to bring in players specifically for that purpose. Whether they can kind of carry it out and follow through and achieve that goal, we'll have to wait and see. But Bonucci will certainly help to strengthen that defence in the way that he did when he was at Juventus first time around.
Rob, still with transfers, but a bit of Ghanaian interest right now. And how is Jordan Ayew's move from Swansea City to Crystal Palace shaping up at the moment?
Well, my understanding is that he's having a medical, so I think we're close on this one. I think Ayew's move to Palace would essentially provide a little bit of backup for their wingers that they have there already, the likes of Andros Townsend and of course Wilfried Zaha. There are reports this morning here in England that Zaha is rejecting a new contract at Palace and is set for a big money switch to Chelsea. Now, I should stress these are only newspaper reports at this stage, yet to get any confirmation from the club or anything like that. But it is a move that I think would fit. Sarri is the kind of manager who likes quick, dynamic wingers, and Zaha certainly is one of those. So we'll have to wait and see whether Jordan Ayew is providing backup for Crystal Palace's top forward players, or whether he's essentially being brought in to replace them.
Rob, can we talk about the key imminent deals to keep our eyes on this weekend?
A couple of high-profile moves in Europe actually looking like they could be going through this weekend. Axel Witsel, the Belgium midfielder, looks set for a move to Borussia Dortmund. He currently plays in China. Also, Nikola Kalinic, the Milan player, Atletico Madrid, extremely interested in him. And here's a really interesting one that we're just starting to hear bubbling under the surface. Arturo Vidal, the Chilean Bayern Munich midfielder, looks like he could be moving to Barcelona. So we'll have to wait and see if that one comes through. In terms of some other moves as I mentioned, it looks as if there might be a little bit of a battle on the hands for Wilfried Zaha's services, the Crystal Palace winger, with Chelsea very much interested there. And also, we're certainly hearing that Jerome Boateng is up for sale from Bayern Munich, so they're certainly kind of looking for suitors there. Manchester United in the market for a defender. They're looking at Barcelona defender Yerry Mina, the Colombia defender who had a very good World Cup. So we'll have to see maybe if they get that one over the line. Might stifle a move for Jerome Boateng, but he is very much up for sale by the German champions.
Finally, the new season is upon us with the Community Shield between Chelsea and Manchester City to come later on Sunday. What are your expectations?
Well, I think this game comes a little bit too early to see the best out of both sides, especially Chelsea, who I think will have a difficult task this season to see Sarri fully implement his style of play. It will be a complete gear change to the way that Antonio Conte played his football at Stamford Bridge. But it will be exciting and intriguing to see nonetheless. I expect Manchester City to pretty much pick up from where they left off last season, although they're without a couple of players back to full match fitness from the World Cup. But it'll be interesting to see, I think, Algerian winger, of course, Riyad Mahrez take to the field. We're expecting for Manchester City their club record signing, their only signing in the window. He's expected to play in this Community Shield match against Chelsea at Wembley. A bit of an interesting marker always between the two sides. The Premier League winners and the FA Cup holders, of course, happens every year. We've seen Arsenal beat the likes of Chelsea, for example, to lift the Community Shield in recent years. So it can happen, upsets can happen, but I expect Manchester City to start their season by winning the first domestic trophy of the campaign on Sunday.
Live on radio, live online, this is The Locker Room with George Addo Jr.
And there's more to look forward to here on the show. Now time to get into a discussion segment, of course. Look, in 2017, 2018, City earned more English top flight points than any other team in history, registered more wins and scored more goals than any other Premier League side before them. They recorded the most consecutive wins, attempted and completed the most passes in a game, and spent the least amount of time behind in matches. Jose Mourinho and his team must wrestle the title away from City in style and in points. But Jose has been suggesting it's probably down to cash, the difference between Manchester United and Manchester City, indicating Manchester United have quite simply not spent as much as Manchester City have done. So we're asking the question, could this be really true? Is it all about the cash?
Oh, what a great goal! Fantastic strike by Lingard.
I would like to have two more players. I think I'm not going to have two. I think that it's possible that I'm going to have one. I wait to see if it's possible.
Cross into the area. It's been missed by Dowd. Rashford is there. Scores. 1-1. United equalise.
We are not a team. We are a group of players from different teams. Some are first team, some are under 23s. We don't have a team to play much better.
Anthony Martial fires it low. The goalkeeper goes the wrong way. It's into the back of the net, and Manchester United lead.
In I think 11 days we start the Premier League, and these are the players that we have.
Is it all about the money? Is it all about the cash? Joining me inside the studio to do the analysis right now, well, Safo Bafo Jima is here. How are you doing this afternoon, Bafo?
Very fine, George.
And of course, Oriku Ampofo joins me. Oriku, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm great. I'm doing
and it'll be good for us to get into this matter and try to deal with it. He's been ranting a lot, Jose Mourinho, but maybe there's a bit of sense after all in the rants that have been ongoing. So let me start with you, Oriku Ampofo, and I want to know, well, let's all have a breakdown so we can be on a level playing field. For those of you listening in to us, want to send in your message to our WhatsApp line 0244-340-437. Don't just jump on Jose Mourinho's neck right now and begin to press it. Just hold on. Let's get ourselves to a very good pedestal where we can begin the discussion. So, Oriku Ampofo, can we talk about the breakdown of spending between Manchester United and Manchester City before both coaches joined?
I think George, what makes this very intriguing is the fact that both coaches joined in the summer of 2016. So we're privileged to have the special one, that's Mourinho, and the exceptional one, that's Guardiola, to join, the two Manchester clubs. It definitely added some fire to their rivalry. But let's take a look at Manchester United since Mourinho joined. In the summer of 2016-2017, their total spend so far in the 2.5 years that Mourinho has been here has been 432.1 million euros.
432.1 million euros.
That's for Manchester United.
Manchester United.
And let's go deeper into that. And you look at Paul Pogba came in the summer of 2016-2017 for a world record fee of 105 million euros. Mkhitaryan followed with 42 million euros and Bailey with 38 million euros. And that made a 185 million euros for the 2016-2017 season. They ended up winning their famous treble. That was their Europa, their League Cup, and then their Community Shield. So yeah, things look good for Manchester United. They went on to buy Lukaku, Matic, and Lindelof for a total of 164 million euros in the 2017-2018 season. That's the just ended season, and unfortunately, Manchester United won no trophy. And that has triggered them to go back into the market. And so far, they spent 59 million euros on Fred, 22 million euros on Dallo, and 1.7 million euros on Grant. So that's 82.7 million euros just this summer.
For Manchester United.
Yeah.
So we can keep it at 432.
Yeah, 432.
For Manchester United. Manchester City.
You look at Pep, he came in and his first transfer window was an overhaul. He bought in John Stones for 55.6 million euros, Sané for 50 million. Gabriel Jesus for 32 million, Gundogan for 27, Nolito for 18, Claudio Bravo for 18, Moreno for 5, Rulli for 4.7 million, and Zerchenko for 2 million. So in just his first transfer window, he spent 213.5 million euros. And then he went trophyless. So he came back harder, and the next transfer window, he bought Laporte, Mendy, Walker, Bernardo Silva, Edison, Danilo, Douglas, Ruiz, Harrison, Coyote, Ilicic for 317.5 million euros. That's all in the transfer window last year.
So in all?
Yeah, but then after that, he won a double.
Okay.
And so far, he wants to maintain this level. So he has signed Mahrez for a club record fee of 67.8 million, and he just signed Sandler for 2.5 just last week. So that's 70 million just this summer window. So in all, Manchester City has spent 601.3 million euros.
601.3 million euros versus 432.1 million euros.
Yeah.
That's one. Okay, good. So thank you very much for doing this, and those people following the conversation, you know how we'll get into it. So Jima, let me take you back here. Before or prior to the joining of these two coaches, who had a better squad, Man City or Manchester United?
You would say Man City because City had won the Premier League on 2 occasions since Ferguson left, under Roberto Mancini and Manuel Pellegrini. So you would say City had a very good squad because United haven't won the league since Ferguson left. But for me, as Ureku said, there is a huge difference in the amount of money.
So I want to see if we all agree on that. We agree that Man City had a better squad than Manchester United. Ureku, do you agree that Man City had a better squad than Manchester United before the two coaches joined?
I think relatively it was equal. It was just
you say it was equal.
I think it was equal.
I hope you're not setting us up for whatever it is, but well, fine. So you agree that Man City had a better squad than Manchester United?
Definitely.
So now we know that at the end of everything, Manchester United have spent more. I mean, Man City have spent more than Manchester United, starting from the point where Man City had a better squad than Manchester United. Is Jose Mourinho, making some sense if he says Manchester United are failing to spend as much as City are, and should not be surprised with the difference in the styles and difference in whatever they've got now?
George, from where I sit, even though the mathematics tells you the amount of money spent by United is less than what City spent, there are some significant factors you cannot lose sight of. First of all, you look at the individual the financial outlay on individual players by Man United. The other issue has to do with the organizational structure within Manchester United and the dynamics there and what Mourinho does with the players he gets. So the first factor, the financial outlay on individual players. Even though in Guardiola's first season he bought 8 players, United on the other hand bought 4 players. Comparatively, if you calculate in pounds, the difference was 21 million pounds. So with close to 160 million pounds, Guardiola got 8 players. Mourinho, on the other hand, bought 4 players for 140 million pounds. Pogba alone cost United that season 89 million pounds in Mourinho's first season. They bought Eric Bailly for 30 million pounds and Ibrahimovic came on a free transfer. So even though Guardiola spent more than Mourinho ended up spending more on individual players than Guardiola. In the second season, in terms of pound sterling, Guardiola bought 6 players, whilst United bought 4 players. Even though Guardiola broke the bank to acquire those players, he didn't buy a player more than the tune of £60 million. The likes of Leroy Sané came in for £37 million. People like Bernardo Silva came in for £43 million. Kyle Walker, £45 million. But in that transfer window, United spent £75 million alone on Romelu Lukaku. So even though Man City has spent more than United across 2 transfer windows, Mourinho often spend more money on individual players and buy less. But the problem has to do with the organizational structure within the club. For me, if you look at the way football is being run across the globe now, look at Juventus. They have a person like Andrea Agnelli, who is the chairman of the club. His father used to be the chief executive of Juventus. They have Giuseppe Marotta, who is the chief executive, who had things with Sampdoria and now Juventus and Nedved. So you have football people running the club. So when it comes to allegedly buying players, it's a coordination of all those 3 guys. Based on the ideology of Juventus, you go to Bayern Munich, you have Uli Hoeneß, you have Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, then you have Niko Kovac, who is the coach now. These guys come together and buy players that will suit Bayern Munich's approach. And it's that same approach that Man City adopted from 2012. Sheikh Mansour decided to copy the Barcelona approach. So he brought in Ferran Soriano from Barcelona, who used to be the vice president of Barcelona. He brought in Chiki Begiristan, who was the director of football at Barcelona, and they brought in Guardiola. So they were trying to copy the Barcelona model. So they decided to buy players that will suit the kind of football Guardiola wanted. When he came onto the scene, they had the likes of Sanya, Zabaleta, Kolarov, but he felt those guys were not suited to his style of play. So across 2 transfer windows, he's bought close to 15 players.
You know, I mean, Jose Mourinho is sitting here listening to you and says that, guy, you've still not convinced me. They have spent more. Give me the amount of money they have. Whether I'm going to buy one player for £80 million or £100 million, that cannot be a problem for Jose Mourinho. He says that they were better than me. Yeah, they were better than my club, and they've spent more than I've spent. How can I beat them?
In terms of the management of United now, you have the executive vice chairman, Ed Woodward, who is running the club. This is an accountant by profession. His previous things has been with JP Morgan Chase and PricewaterhouseCoopers. He is not a clear football person like, say, Peter Kenyon, who was working with Ferguson.
So he can't understand the analysis. He can't understand the analysis.
So the bottom line is that if he spends 89 million on Pogba, and the player complains of being underutilized, there is always animosity between the coach and the player. If you spend almost about £37 million on Henrik Mkhitaryan, and the player comes into the club and he struggles, and the coach is impatient with him, he ends up selling the player. For a guy like Woodward who wants to make money,
he won't spend more. Let me come to Rico on that, because I'll be coming back on that point, and I'll be saying, well, but not every player Pep Guardiola went in for, was able to perform magic. What's your take there on the Jose Mourinho logic here?
Well, I think Man City deserve to spend the amount of money that they are spending. One, because if you look at the net income, that's the income that they've made from selling players. They've made twice what Manchester United have made. So Man City clearly have sold more players, and there was a need to replace these players. You don't see Man City going about buying players they don't need. I think Guardiola set out a plan. He knew he wanted 2 fullbacks and 4 fullbacks to replace the 4 that he has. He needed a new DM. He needed 2 wingers. He had a clear-cut plan, a long-term goal. He sat down with the directors of the club and told them that this is why I see your club 5 years from now, and these are the type of players I need. Give them to me and trust me, and you start to see progress. They start to see progress, and they are investing in the team. So there is a plan when it comes to Man City and Guardiola and their directors. But then you look at Mourinho.
You think there was no plan?
What exactly is Manchester United's formation? What's their strongest?
You don't understand Jose Mourinho's plan. Doesn't mean he doesn't have a plan.
Even if you buy,
he's done it before at Chelsea.
If you buy Mkhitaryan for 42 million, he will still bench him and play Fellaini. you just can't tell what exactly is he playing a 4-3-3 next season. So does he need an extra midfielder? What type of player does he need? It's not just about buying in this market, because ideally,
but Mourinho was screaming for. I remember he was screaming for a winger. He said, "I needed a winger," and it was so loud last season. He said, "I wanted get me Perisic." They didn't get him Perisic.
They got him Sanchez.
It comes from the season.
George, you know what I think? I think Guardiola is bolder than Mourinho. Guardiola was bold enough to get rid of Nolito, get rid of Kolarov, get rid of Yaya Toure. It doesn't matter, but you don't fit into my system. That's it. You look at Manchester United, you want a winger, but then you still have Martial, Rashford, Mata, Lingard, all fighting for the same. You can't get more wingers when you have 4 or 5 players. There are too many French players in the Manchester United team. Jones, Smalling, Bailey, Lindelof, and you're still crying for a new centre-back. Get rid of the ones there first before you ask for a new one. I think it's that basic, and it comes from the fundamental problem. The Manchester United don't know what they are about. They need to sit down, restructure. This is our type of play. We need 4 defenders for this style. We need 3 midfielders for this style. And then you critically look at your team. This is where we need. This is where we have too much, so we have to let go.
I wish I would understand you. But look, he says he's looked at the team. He knows what the team needs at this point. He's given the board five names. The board are likely to give him one, and he's very aware of that, and he's psychologically preparing himself for the season. He's just making the point that you don't give me the money to do what I can do like Pep is doing. Jose Mourinho doesn't need to remind us of what he's done when you're giving him enough money, like the Chelsea situation, like the Inter Milan situation, like the Madrid situation.
Yeah, I think I still stick by my point, George, because you are crying for a new centre-back in Alderweireld, but I still think you have enough cover. You can't look. Mourinho's philosophy, I think that there is a clash when it comes to how Mourinho sees the club and then how Ed Woodward sees the club. You know, Ed Woodward, he is investing in youth. He wants to see some growth in the club, and in the next 5-10 years, what would Manchester United be? But you look at Mourinho and you look at the type of players that he's chasing. It looks like it's a short-term fix. He's going for Alderweireld, he's going for Perisic, he's going for a Sanchez. These are players who are close to 30. That wouldn't give you more than 2
you're fighting
years.
That, Lambert from Dodo says that the transfer market is kind of boring. I think it will be okay with my darling club Manchester United before the transfer window closes. Our coach Mourinho should keep quiet. He talks too much. Coach, it's not all about money. Now, this coming in as well, it says George, don't mind Jose Mourinho. I mean, let's see. Okay. He says, George, don't mind Jose Mourinho. The players we have can easily win the Premier League with Pep. He put Martial on the bench, and even Rashford. His tactics are not just good. Bright from East Legon. We'll be activating the phone lines pretty shortly so we can hear from you on what you make of our topic here as we're going through I was going to give you another chance on that. So what are you saying? What do you want to add to that? Because you were making a point, and I don't know if you guys are getting, look, 600 million euros is 200 away from 400.
Well, as Orefku rightly mentioned, for a club like Manchester United, there seems to be some anxiety and lack of clarity over ideology. Under Ferguson, we knew the Manchester United way of, say, playing attacking football, a blend of local lads, people who come through the ranks in the academy, and some expensive buys. So you could have your Gary Nevilles, your Ryan Giggs, but then
the club is evolved.
Veron will come in, Yapstan will come in, Ferdinand will come in for big money. But once clubs evolve, then there needs to be a clear-cut ideology. You ask yourself, John Stones, we all know, is a ball-playing centre-back. Talk of Victor Lindelof. What does he do? He's not able to pass from the back. He can't defend. So what kind of defender is he? Mathieu Damien. So for me, it has a lot more to do with the kind of players Mourinho bought with the opportunity he had in the various transfer windows, and the way he organizes his side. Last season, even though they managed to qualify for the Champions League by coming second, most of the football played by United was appalling, and my United fans will attest to this. And for me, if Mourinho had played some very good football, very good attacking football, he would have had the audacity to call for more money from the owners of the club. The Glazers are Manchester United to make more money.
More money already on
the
that.
difference between Man United.
Let me activate my phone lines as we go through this. 0302-216-541. 0302-216-541. He has audacity. He says he's given them a 5-man short list.
The difference between Man United and City is that Sheikh Mansour is ready to spend money. The Glazers are seeking to make more money. That's the difference between.
So it's not Mourinho's fault. What's happening then?
Mourinho's all transfers has not helped because
Jima, if Mourinho was at Man City, he will get as much money and he can buy all the players he wants to play the football he wants to play.
In the second season with Chelsea, he bought players, but looking at his approach towards the game over the last 5 years, antagonizing players, being impatient with players. Football is a team sport, and if you are within a squad and your manager has issues with your colleague, it affects the mentality of the team. Last season, look at the situation Pogba found himself. This is a guy who was close with the likes of Martial.
For me, we're not mixing the factors. I'm trying here, and there's bad press. Yes, Mourinho's bad press and all of that, but that cannot really come in the way of how much money, he has not spent and how much money he needs to get the job done. If Pep needs 600 million euros to do the job, you give Mourinho 432, and he says, I need more money. What should be wrong?
Well, I think, first of all, why we are getting this wrong is that you don't need to use Man City's spending to be a
but he's in competition with Man City.
Yeah,
he must do more than Man City. He must wrestle and either play the kind of football or do anything to hit Man City.
But George, after Man City spent all this money, Chelsea still managed to win the league and they had spent less. But then my question to you is that, George, Mourinho has signed over 10 players. Which one of these players can you confidently beat your chest and say that he has improved them?
Just a minute. Let's go on to the phone calls now. I've got George Sackerman joining us. George, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, George.
Good to hear from you, George. Tell me, do you think Mourinho has a point? But you have to reduce the volume on your radio set. Can you do that for me, please? All right.
Is it better?
It's better. It's better. Let's go ahead.
Yeah, George, I think Mourinho is biting more than he can chew. What players do you want to buy again? You had Mkhitaryan, you couldn't use him. You had Mata, you couldn't use him. Right? You have Pogba, you are not using him well. Deschamps have to criticize. Deschamps use Pogba, Pogba to win the World Cup. You have a lot of quality. You and I would like to agree that Manchester have not had good use of Alexis Sanchez yet, as he was being used in Arsenal. These are quality materials you can use to win a league. So what is he talking about?
Okay.
But I can tell you, if they give Manchester team with a small blend of one or two players, Guardiola can win.
All right. I think you made a point, George.
I think Mourinho doesn't have a plan.
He doesn't have a plan. You also agree, George? Then we can do more of your calls, can we? 03022116. It's Eben from Koforidua. Eben, how are you doing?
Hello, George. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm fine. Tell me, do you agree with Mourinho? He needs more money.
Mourinho, what is his beef at all? George, you got money to buy players and you have put them on bench, and now you are calling for more money to do what? I believe Mourinho's tactics is inimical to the progress of Manchester United.
Ah, really?
And for me, yes.
He's the best coach since Alex Ferguson left.
It's not helping the team at all. And he got money to buy a lot of players, the Lindelof, the Mkhitaryan and co, but he did not use them. So he doesn't have any cause to complain at all.
I see. Eben, thank you very much. Let's do more of your calls. 0302-216-541. Roku standing by looking for a player who has really progressed under Jose Mourinho. That was your question.
And I can say maybe you can say Lukaku got better. Maybe. But then you look at you look at Man City and John Stones, Sané, Jesus, Gundogan. These are players who have now become world beaters and are being mentioned amongst world class players. So definitely it's not about the amount of money that Pep has spent, but it's the type of players, how he has improved these players and what he has got from them.
Yeah, sure about that. I'd see if I can pick one more caller. Let's try and do that. 0302-216-541 in this one. Yes, this one is coming in from Macoon from Legon. Manchester City will hit the ground running this season. There will be free flow, orgasmic football from the Macoonians. Yes, Champions League on our mind, all or nothing. Well, that's good. More of your messages on our WhatsApp. Yes, 0244-340437. The final caller. Then Maxwell is calling us from Koforidua. Maxwell, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, George.
Hey, let me hear from you. Are you supporting Mourinho on this?
No, I don't.
Why?
I am a diehard United fan, but it appears Mourinho is trying to give excuses. Okay, the thing is, we want results. Okay,
you want results. That's
it.
You
want this player, we buy them for you. We're giving you money. Buy the good players. You want results. All the time, excuses here, excuses there. We are fed up. Okay, this year, if it doesn't give us the trophy, the EPL, and even
improve Champions League performance, I think we shall show in the exit.
Okay.
Thank you, man, before us.
Thank you very much. Maxwell, that's a final caller. I've got a message here. Norbert Inadenta. The point is that Kajola buys players a lot, but also has the courage to sell. So Zabaleta, Hart, Nolito, even benched Yaya Toure, but Mourinho has no plan. He's just buying players without a plan. Quiet. Now it says Pep is simply better than Mourinho. Coach and player relationship counts in management. Man City for the treble this season. From Pep, focal inside hole, but you are Pep and you're supporting Pep. Oreku, thank you very much for joining me on the show. Safo Bafo Jim as well, thank you very much. But quick ones on the Community Shield. What are you expecting? Do you think this game has come too early for Chelsea?
KG encounter City to win.
City to win this game.
Yeah.
Jima is a Chelsea fan, so I don't know how that's going, but Charlie. Oreku, what do you think?
I think Chelsea will miss Hazard, Kante, and it would be a comfortable win for Man City. They've had a full complement of their squad training without just Kevin De Bruyne and Sterling. So I think Man City are more used to Pep's style of play, and Chelsea are now adapting to Sarri football.
Man City will beat Chelsea for you.
Yeah, Man City win.
Thank you very much, Oreku. But just before you go, we can talk about the Fantasy League quickly. Fantasy.
Yeah,
we've got a Fantasy League on right now. We've got our code. What do we need to do to be part of it?
So you can just log on to myjoyonline.com
and everything is there.
Put up an article with the steps, step 1 to 7, everything you need to know to join the Fantasy Premier League. And we'll be starting the Joy Fantasy Show very soon next week. So keep an eye out for that. It will be on Joy News.
Thank you very much, Oreku Ampofo, for joining me on the show. It's just about time to run away. Noella is standing by, but it's also a good time where we get to sing these anthems again. It's been a while, eh? Okay, if I didn't play yours, keep on singing it. That's it for the Locker Room. Well, I have some